Hello, everybody. I decided I wanted to come outside near the horses to sit with God for a little bit, and I'm assuming there's a possibility that this will be shared abroad. And they know that I usually bring treats, so I didn't want to come up and not bring at least one apple, so they'll probably stand here for the next 20 seconds eating their apples, and then they'll probably get ornery with each other because that's what they do to run each other off. You see, he just ran him off from his little pieces of apple that are left. And there's bites left of these apples, but like humans and whatnot, they're kind of wasteful. That's all I got, buddies. That's all I got. But you're all right. They might come back and visit me again at some point, but I'm sitting with him today. We've had internet issues where it's not only blinking lights on the server, but it's saying password incorrect, etc. and so on. So we're going through a lot of that. I'm hoping by the time this video is ready to be uploaded, if that's what we're going to do with it, that those situations are resolved. If not, I'll have to drive into town to go to the local chain store in order to upload. I'm bothered in my soul right now about what I'm seeing happening with his children still. You know, I sat with him this morning and I said, I'm really vexed because many of them do not know how much you really love them. And it's a struggle in this world to stay in the space of receiving your love. You would think that that's not, that if God's sending out his love and nothing can separate God's love from us, that it would be easy to stay in that space. But the truth is that there's lots of things that try to separate us from God's love. And yes, I heard you. He said that, listen, if you believe in some way, shape, or form that something can stand between my love and you, it's not that my love has any kind of barrier to getting to you, but you can create one. Meaning you're unwilling to receive for some reason, right? And oftentimes those are strongholds. And strongholds are belief systems and patterns that are still playing out within us that need to be dealt with. What's vexing me is that these belief systems and patterns I can do nothing about in your life, and you can do nothing about them in my life. Each one of us is required to go before the Lord and have a direct relationship with Him concerning whatever the matters are that we're believing that are false matters. I've watched myself in the past because of trauma response. So he's still healing things inside of us. I've watched myself because of, for instance, in my past, being a very sensitive heart that God has created, meaning I see things, I feel things deeply. When there was very harsh, terse, rough treatment toward me, even just words, even just verbally and attitudes, it sent me into a place of experiencing or having in my being at that time not being safe. And I think that one of the scariest things for a child is to not feel safe. And he's showing me adult children of his in that state right now as I say that. And so because of this, these traumas, which is really satanic ritual abuse, the people may not have known that they were satanically, ritualistically, that means habitually abusing me, but they were. See, satanic ritual abuse isn't just with blood and, altars and knives and dark cloaks. Satanic means not godly. Ritualistic means habitual. Abuse means terrible, unloving treatment. You see, people can be verbally and emotionally abused all the time, and it's still satanic ritualistic abuse. Satanic, evil, ungodly, habitual, continual actions towards someone else that is not in love. And because of that, it would send me into a place of hiding, right? Because go low, go quiet, do not be seen, right? Because if you're seen or noticed, you're going to receive satanic ritualistic abuse because there's lack of love. Okay. So that problem comes in when you become an adult who now wants to meet love himself and reconcile with love, but all you've ever known is to not come close because whatever you are, whatever you do, whatever you have become was unacceptable to everyone in this world, and that's why ritualistic satanic abuse would come to you, habitually abusing you over and over and over. I mean, that's what the child learns, is that it's better to be standoffish than it is to embrace. Okay, those people that treated me that way and affected my life, causing these patterns of trauma to exist, set my life up for a situation where I had developed this not being able to relax and trust. And in the world, that's one thing when we say that that's the issue that's going on with us, concerning humans, that's bad enough in and of itself. But when we get to a point where the only patterns we've ever played out is that, and then you come to God, there is a lot of new learning and unlearning old patterns and ways that we have to come into to be healed with Him. And the basis of that is that you will actually believe who He is. That's really difficult because how many people in our lives told us that they loved us and that they would never hurt us or never do it again or whatever it was, and they failed at that. And we were hurt and we were abused and we were neglected, right? But He's not them. And so we have to become vulnerable, He said, and vulnerability is one of the things that people don't really relinquish to God very easily, so they never come into His rest properly. The ability to be able to rest in the Lord is the equivalent ability to be able to believe who He is. He's not here to abuse us in any way, shape, or form. He's not here to hurt us in any way, shape, or form. He's not here to betray us in any way, shape, or form. And when we believe that His fruits of His Spirit are the only fruits He ever exhibits, it's the beginning of your freedom to be able to trust Him, just Him, to begin with. Then you will go through the healing of trauma-based patterns as you and the Lord develop a trust with Him. Now, that doesn't happen overnight. He has to continually show you that He is trustworthy and good. And He said, why? Because you have learned continually that people were liars and would continually hurt you no matter what they said. So he is going to prove, and he doesn't have to. I mean, like, he doesn't. It's not like He's required to do that. It's just who He is, that He's going to come around over and over again to show us who He is. And each time He does that and He's there for us, each time we think we've let Him down, that's one thing that He told me last night. He said, many of my children think that they've let me down, but really they've let themselves down, and they're judging themselves more harshly than even I do. He sees why we are the way that we are. He understands why we are the way that we are. He understands who has done what, who has affected us in what way, and how many times it happened to create a overlaying pattern of these things in our lives. So He will be Himself consistently, right? There's no shadow of turning in Him, and he's reliable. He doesn't change, not yesterday, not today, and forever. He will always be the same. And with that, we begin to realize the truth. But it's a fight to relax with him. Many people want to still stay in a space of attaching what humans did and attaching our experience with humans to that of the Lord. And that is a grave mistake to your ability to rest in him. But what's grieving me is I can't make someone believe in who he is. And even in my life, even when I know who he is, I know who he is, I have to work out my salvation with fear and trembling, which means those patterns, those familiar spirits that want to continue to reinforce everything I had ever known from humans, they're going to try to put that on God in my mind and say, remember this, or think of it this way, like whatever I'm going through, or, et cetera and so on. And really, it's them doing it. I mean, they're doing all these wicked things in our lives and want to attribute it solely to God. Now, God allows these things to take place because if the devil wasn't coming to me to tempt me with believing lies about God, how would I ever be able to uphold the truth? You have to be presented with lies to have the ability to stand firmly and uphold the truth. If I'm never challenged, if a tree never goes through a storm that pushes it around and loosens its roots, it'll never dig down deeper to be even sturdier and grow taller. So with every challenge that God has allowed, if we will continue to actually uphold him for who he is, not just know, but uphold him within, and battle against the forces of the thoughts and agendas of the enemy that comes to try and separate us from love. If we will continue to uphold his truth within us, we can rest in him. But it will be a battle if they're coming around trying to convince you once again that, like humans, he cannot be trusted. And the whole point of me saying all of that is that when you're feeling attacked, and he's talking about the spirit realm, it will often remind you of feeling attacked by humans in your past, because there were spirits that were working behind the humans to do all of those things in the past. So, when these humans did these things, you would have these trauma patterns in you, which would cause you to run to your room, hide, go in a closet, cry, run away, go outside, get away from them, scream, holler, whatever it was that was whatever you as a child could come up with to be in a space of safety. You created a place of seclusion because you didn't know what else to do and you were being attacked. However, now the enemy will take what we learned as children coping mechanisms that were dysfunctional, meaning we didn't know better, but we were supposed to go to God. That would be functional. Now, as adults, we're to learn that our safe place, the harbor under his wings in the secret place, is where we are protected. So when the demonic entities that worked through those humans before come directly to you alone, like through your thoughts, we go oftentimes and we run back to, no one cares about me. I'm all alone. Look what they're doing. I don't want to be here. Woe is me kind of stuff. Because it was those same entities working through the people before. But now it's not people as in like human beings with bodies that are doing this. It's the spirits directly because they can, and you're not with your parents now, maybe you're with a husband, maybe you're in college and you have roommates or whatever it is. They'll use them when they can. But see, it's really not about the people or the entities themselves, not even their terrible thoughts to try to get you to run back into that place, because that place is away from God. When you go into hiding, you're running away from God, which is their goal. But it's not even about them at all. It's not even about what they're telling you to believe. It's about whether or not you'll believe it. That's what's vexing my soul because I keep telling him, if I can do nothing else, I'm going to sit in front of you and worship you for who you are. Like when all these thoughts and warfare come at me, I am going to choose to sit at your feet and honor you in the best way that I possibly can, because I know one thing, and one thing I do know about this trauma-based stuff in people is that the enemy wants to pull me away from you or pull them away from you. So I'm going to do the very thing that they don't want me to do, which is to sit at your feet and remind myself of the truth of who you are and how much you love me. Because I had learned how to not receive love because it was not given to me very often. And I became a person who began to be someone who lived without love. So, whilst nothing can separate us from the love of God, not principalities nor powers, nor, you see what I'm saying? His whole point is don't let them, because my love is there for you, but you have assimilated what people did and their behaviors led of those devils, those principalities and powers. You've let them dictate within your being that I too cannot be trusted as like a man who would lie and tell you one thing and do another and betray you and hurt you and reject you. When you know that's their plan is to cause any kind of division between you and trusting God and working with God and believing God for everything that He is and everything that He's promised you, you'll get to a place where you realize the only safety you have is to go to Him and be vulnerable in your belief. And I'll tell you what, when it comes down to you really sitting and opening yourself up to two choices: one, to believe God is your safety and your refuge and the love of your life, or the opposite, to stay in a space of, I just don't know. I don't know if I can trust Him. I don't know if He really loves me. I don't know if Scripture is true. That is not a place anyone wants to be found in, because it is very, very uncomfortable and it rivals what the people did to us. I don't know if I can trust them, right? You want to. You wanted to trust all those people that were supposed to have your best interest and love you, but they didn't. You see, but God has never stopped loving you, and He does, and He doesn't betray you. But my soul has been vexed because while I have to uphold all these things, while I have to fight to keep the belief system erected within me of the truth of what's going on, so does everyone else. And I can't do that job for anyone else. Mm, I cannot create a space inside of your heart where you're willing to be vulnerable in believing the truth. And the truth is, nothing can separate you from His love. So even though you can create a veil, His love is still coming and pouring at you and into you and about you and for you. But if we don't know how to receive His love, it's hardly the fault of God, who is continually flowing His love toward us. It's that somewhere in the mind, we're not allowing it to penetrate us in the ways that it should, to set us free and to be able to rest. And one of those things is I literally had brought people up before Him saying, did this person really let you down? And He said, no, this person let themselves down because they're holding a standard within themselves that I do not hold. I never expected you guys to be perfect in all your ways, as like I am, never infractioning or never having an issue in any way, shape, or form. I'm looking for the progress in your growth and maturation process. I'm looking for if you're learning the lessons and you're able to apply these lessons to your life with me in a partnership, feeling safe and secure with me, no matter what comes at you or how it plays out. Because if something bad, whatever that is, right? Someone thinks I did something bad and offended God. It's a possibility you did something that transgresses how His person operates. It's quite a possibility. However, He is a very forgiving God. He is a very, very forgiving person. He doesn't sweat the small stuff. He tells me that all the time. So He said, When my children, for instance, if someone lost their temper, you'll come to me, you'll lay it down, you'll say, I could have done better, I shouldn't have done that, I feel ashamed, and I'll look at you and I'll tip your chin up to look at me and say, I love you. I love you. So, in that, what's his whole point? Okay, so that happened. And what does that have to do with my love for you? You're here, you're facing me, you've learned a lesson, it's been weighty on you. How could you have let me down in all of that? You see, it isn't the it isn't the infraction, right, of our inability to perform things perfectly. It isn't that that would let him down. It's that if you'll run from him after that, that lets him down because he has no ability to comfort you, to love you, and then we run from his love. He's not separating his love from us. We're running from it. And then another thing that's been vexing me is I looked at him about other people and I said, "Is it true that these people cannot hear from you?" And he said, "No." I said, "Is it true that there's something wrong with their brain or their mind that they cannot receive?" And he said, "Absolutely not." And I said, "Well, then what is going on when people are thinking that, they're saying over and over that they're not hearing from you?" And he said, "I can do nothing about their belief." And I said, "So you're telling me that you're speaking to them all the time?" And he's shaking his head yes right now. But they're unable to realize that you're speaking to them all the time? And he's showing me a dial, and they're unable to tune in. Okay, so you are speaking to them all the time, but they have a belief system and they're not able to tune in, a belief system that they're not hearing from you. Even though they'll say that they know that you're speaking to them because they have an inability to dial in. And he's saying, yes. You see, the ability to dial in is the ability to be able to rest in him. Because he said to me, how do we do it? And I went, oh man, this has been a process for so long. You're going to ask me how we work with this whole process of how you speak to me and how I hear you. And he said, yeah. And I said, well, I got to the point where I realized that hearing from you is not about learning knowledge about life, things, like the world. It's about knowing you. So for me to be able to hear you, the most important thing that I could ever hear from you is to know you, for you to show me who you are. And that made a relief inside of me because I knew that it wasn't about how smart can Janet get, how wise can she be, how helpful in ministry can she be, how can she help all these other people or not, or etc. and so on. It wasn't about any of that. It was simply about knowing God and hearing from God so that Janet can know God and that God knows Janet and would like to speak to Janet simply because Janet brings him pleasure. And so I got into a space with you where I truly believed that you just wanted to be with me. And he said, that's my point. I have no agenda other than wanting to be with you. And in that process, I want to teach you and raise you and strengthen you and heal you. But the truth is, at the bare bones of it, I just want to be with you. And that's where I began to learn how to rest with him, to come into that peaceful place where there was no tension or expectation of anything. And he said, many of my kids are expecting me to do certain things a certain way, and they have this pressure on themselves and pressure on me. And that's not what our relationship should ever be about. It should never be a relationship that's under pressure. That's part of what you all have learned under trauma-based human interactions in this world. There's a place in me, Janet, that is a place of comfort and rest, and it's literally that you're all right. It's okay. I'm here. I love you. I hear you. And he said, until you'll enter the space where you really know that, you will not be able to hear that. Repeat that again. Until you enter the space where you really know he's here, you're here with him, you're safe, it's all right, you're received, you won't be able to hear that. And there will be this pressure performance based thing driving you to have this incessant need to hear from God when you could easily hear from him if you could relax in who he is toward you. He said, so how many of these children think that I am on the warpath against them? You infraction me in this way. You are not right with me in this way. You are failing at these things. Because if that's going on in them, that's the enemy's voice exalted and screaming at them. And it's really difficult to hear a still, calm voice of love. So in this world, most of the time you're going to hear screaming of hate at us from humans and demons that work behind them, the powers of the spirit of error in this world. But you see, God is inside you, and he has the ability and desire to love you, but we're having an issue receiving that love. So for me, one of the practices that I've been doing with him is to sit in his presence, in his love, and his acceptance. When I remember that I enter that space, remember how many times I've said before that you're going to be able to hear him better when you can be standing in his peace, which is godly order. Part of that is knowing that he loves you, and he's not desiring nor focused on casting you away. Okay? He is not desiring nor focused on casting you away for infractions. His blood covered that already. His desire is that you will come to him, know his love for you, and be able to rest in that space, believing him for who he is and who you are to him. See, we often say in him. To him is an easier way to understand that. If you understand who you are to him, you are the love of his life. It's going to be easier for you to enter into a space where you're vulnerable to receive his love, because he said vulnerable means your doors are open to receive my love and the truth. When their doors are open and they're receiving the love and the truth into them, and they're letting it manifest and flow through every space within them in true belief, they'll hear me speak of love and of acceptance and of healing and of power to defeat anything else. And then those things fall away. All this focus on all that lower realm stuff falls away. Because he was walking me through that to explain to me how I hear him so well. I will be the first to tell you, if I am not upholding the truth and the enemy's voice has become very, very loud in me, I cannot hear him in the same way. This is what I'll hear. Janet. 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 It's all I can hear. I hear him clearly, but all I can hear is him calling my name. He said, why would that be all you can hear from me? I'm sorry, guys. He's very emotional. Because I stepped away and I'm further away in my belief system at that moment, listening and dialed into the enemy. And he said, yes. So when my children cannot hear me, they're dialed into the enemy in a belief pattern and a system of trauma-based experiential learning from down there. And I have need for them to come and receive my love. Please, children, come and sit with me in the safe space that I have provided at the mercy seat, where my blood is laid down to cover anything you could ever do. This is what I'm telling you too, Janet. Nothing can separate you from my love. I don't see the sin the same way as you do. I see it as an adversary that's trying to separate us, and that I have come to bowl down every one of those barriers. I've defeated them myself already. Come to me. Sit with me. Look at me. All I'm giving toward you is love and acceptance. Believe that. Come and tell me you want to sit in that space. Ask me to release the angelic to fight, to help you come against all of the belief systems, all of those things that want to keep you entrapped in a very painful place where you feel alone and removed from me. You don't have to be there. You don't have to stay there. Come home. Come home. My arms are open. Come home, you prodigal. Come home. You went away. I understand. You may think you wasted time. You may think you wasted resources from the kingdom as you took your inheritance and went about in the world, but you learned it was not your home. You learned it was not safe. Come home. I'm safe. I am your safety. Come home, where arms are open wide for you. I'll kill the fatted calf for you. We will celebrate. Heaven rejoices for every sinner that comes home. Don't stay in the place of sin. Don't stay in the place of distance from me. Don't allow there to be a barrier between the truth and you and receiving the love of the truth. I loved you so much that I found a way before it all. I did not create you. I continued to create you knowing what you would do. I love you that much. Can you hear me speaking through her children? She's allowing me, no matter what I say or do, to speak my love for you through. Can you hear me? Come home. Come home. I never turned my back on you. I never stopped believing. I believe in you and me. Come home. Believe. Come home. Come to my love. I never took it from you. I laid my life down for you, and I lay my life down to you now. Don't let the enemy, through people or through your thoughts, separate you from me. No, you can hear me. Believe and come into the place of resting in that belief that you're loved and you're accepted and you are sung over, spoken to, extended my love and my power and my grace every moment of every day. I never take my eyes off of you. I never walk away from you. When you walk away and you turn from me in your thoughts, I remain steadfast and I stay there, waiting for you to come back to where I am. I pursue you. I send people like this child to speak the truth to you. You need only to turn back to me and believe. She cannot make you believe. I cannot make you believe. It's called free will choice. But that belief has no bearing on the truth. The truth will make you free. Free to hear me. Free to be vulnerable and rest in that space with me. Free to believe. I'm speaking to you. I love you. I've accepted you. I'm fighting on your behalf. I'm pursuing you in depths inside of your soul every day to set you free. I am for you. I am not against you. I will fight with you and for you, and I'll never stop. The truth is, Janet, the ones that don't make it, I've never stopped either. I can't. I too, like you, have to know that I put in everything, and in that I can rest at the end of it. I told you, you have to use your whole soul, folks. Your whole soul, your whole heart, all of your strength, and all of your mind to believe the truth. But if you will, if you'll tell me, I will be vulnerable. I will fight every day to open the doors to you and keep them open and not shut them or turn my back and run and hide and cower down away from you. I'll fight every day to believe the truth of who you are and exalt that inside my being, even if I have to sit proverbial in the spirit and look at you and just rock, saying, He is good, He is my Father, I love Him, He loves me, He's for me, not against me, He is my safe space. And Father, fight against these enemies and principalities and send the power to help. I will be there for you, I will not leave you helpless or defenseless. I am everything you need, and I do speak to you, and you do not let me down in the ways that you think. You have let down the standard that you set for yourself inside, not me. I knew every one of your guys' infractions before you ever committed them. You gotta be kidding me that I'm not in love with you regardless. Have you ever loved someone that didn't deserve it? Ever? You look at a grandchild who's throwing a fit, hitting you, beating you, or anything like that. And even in the midst of what might be going on, you still love them and you still break because they don't know the love that you have for them. That's me. I break inside in places because you all don't know it or you won't receive it. Know it and receive it, please, and you'll enter into my rest. He just called my name out to that one too. You'll enter into my rest, Janet. So, you guys, you have to believe I'm fighting nothing different than what you are. He says they're strong against you because you're a forerunner and your light shines like mine and they know it, and I told you that. I told you they'll hate you because they hated me first. But I loved you first. And I came for you and I'll never leave you. Believe me. Believe that what I say I'll do. Because it is what I desire. I desire to rescue you and save you from everything, everywhere, all the time. I never wanted anything less than that. I don't now want anything less than that, and that goes for every one of you children out there hearing her voice now as I speak. She's reached a point where she's unashamed to allow me to speak in first person because she just said, what else is there? You have the words of life. We survive, God, because you love us. You speak to us. If you want to speak, I'm not going to get in your way. I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to fight, folks. Just like you need to fight. I'm going to fight the enemy. The enemy's loud voice. And I'm going to sit before God and quiet myself. And pull myself into a space of love, acceptance, peace, and receive. Just receive. If you can't do anything else, I cannot express to you how important it is to just sit with Him and say, I receive your love. I receive your love. I receive your love. That's what they're trying to stop, Janet. It's not the rhetoric. It's not the infractions. That stuff's already covered, Janet. It's them trying to stop you from receiving my love. And I told you, nothing can separate you from my love. So receive it. The only thing that can separate my love from you in any way, shape, or form is just the receival of it. The love is there. They can't stop that. You can't, though. If you allow them, if you give them the power within you to either not believe me or not rest in me. Just come to me and just sit with me. I promise you, I can bring revelation. I can bring you word to help the others. I can help you minister. But nothing will be more important to me than how your soul is doing and how our relationship is. So please, just come to me and receive love and acceptance. Do that over and over with me. Do that over and over with me. And eventually, as you tune into receiving my love, you will hear my words of love to you. Maybe you will feel the words I love you, and you won't hear them. Maybe you'll feel them. Maybe you'll be aware as tears pour down your face that I'm comforting you right then and there. That is God speaking to you, children, not just through conviction. There is so much, children, that I speak to you all the time. So much that I desire for you to know of my love, of how much you mean to me, of just how much I'm not looking at every little infraction. And if I bring up something in your life that I want you to deal with me, it's because they're stealing great things from you, things I have for you. Don't let them. Do something about what I ask you to do something about, and then rest in the love of the Lord that you are received. I am the spirit of adoption. Don't alienate yourselves from me. Don't run away from the one who has adopted you. I may be the spirit of adoption to which you cry, Abba, Father. But you very much can be a prodigal who runs away from home. Please don't. Please don't run away from my love. Don't run away from home. Home is inside of you. Run to me. My arms are open. Run to me. Run home, prodigal. Run home. Thank you, Janet. My heart is vexed too. I told you last night it was not your sorrow, but mine. Not only for you, child. You're fighting with everything you have. I know that. That's why I keep telling you you're all right. You're all right. But because there's so many, Janet, there are so many that do not understand my love for them. And they feel unsafe, Janet. The love lies at their feet. Come home. Come home. My arms are open. Don't you think that I'm pushing you away? Don't you think my door is shut? It's not. I stand on the side of your door knocking. Please open up and be vulnerable. I promise I won't hurt you. I will never leave you or forsake you. And I am for you in every way, shape, or form. They want you to think that your sin stands between me and my love, and it never could. It never did. I proved that. But they want you to give up that belief, to believe the lie, which is that you have to perform for God in every way, shape, or form, and that I sweat the small stuff and every little infraction. I never did. I never will. They helped break you. I want to heal you. Don't you understand? That's all I ever wanted to do. Heal you and bring you home. Don't run away. Don't run away into trauma-based things, believing lies that they tell you. Come home and we'll celebrate. Receive my love. Know that when we say, I speak to you and you can hear me, that is a receival inside your soul. It is not just spoken words. It's a receival of my love into your person, who will speak the truth to you in every way, shape, or form that I can find a way, because I will use every possible way to show you my love. I'll use people. I'll use songs. I'll use something on the television if you have it on. I will use a video. I will use a word in scripture. I'll use a dream. I'll find every way I can Don't run from me. Get healed from trauma. Release it. Believe. Believe that I am not a man that I should lie, and that I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. And that would be the one who slayed himself before there ever was a world of a yesterday or a today in time. I am forever the same. I am forever the one who said, I see what they're going to do and I cannot not make them. I have to. I have to have a you. And I will risk everything. I will lay down everything to give you the opportunity to live with me forever. To love you forever. You can receive my love in that world. You know that, right? You can receive it into your soul. In the material world, you can receive my love. You can be set free by the truth. Please believe. Please believe. Come home. You'll hear me if you're not so far away. You'll hear me if you're not so far away. But you can still hear me call your name from a distance as I holler through the canyons and the valleys where it is rough. Come home, prodigal, come home, prodigal. Come home, I call your name. You know me, you hear me. Come home, come closer, come into my embrace. I'm here for you. Thank you, Janet. You have done a tremendous work for me today. You can't make them believe, and you can't set them free permanently inside, but I can. It's just union, me and them. God, I understand you. I do, God. And when you showed me earlier that you said, how do we do it? I said, I just got to a place where I said, this world can be very confusing and very hard. But at the end of the day, the only thing you're going to talk to me about in the end is, hey, kid, we were doing it together. I was with you every step of the way. We did it together, didn't we? That's it, God. It's about just you and me every minute of every day. No matter how hard or how ugly or how beautiful or how transcendent, it's all the same. It's that every day you and I are together, and you made it a possibility. And I'm going to endure that with you, and I'm going to sit before your face no matter what's coming at us, and I'm going to believe that you're fighting on behalf of me, and so are the angelic, and that my fight is to receive your love. It's it, God. It's it, isn't it? Yes, it is, Janet. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, child. Yes, it is. 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 Look at the horses looking at you. Yes, it is. Oh, God, child. I love you. You're so vulnerable right now to release this. It's so good, Janet. It's so good. I promise you, nothing is lost, Janet. Nothing is for naught. This whole life is about being able to receive my love and acceptance. That's what they come to destroy. That's what they came to destroy in the garden. The proverbial garden is your heart and your mind. Come home all the way. Children, stay in the place of love and acceptance. The things of this world will fade away. The problems will fade away because I don't see any. That's the thing, you all. I don't see any problems. You do.
I don't see hindrances. You do. Look at me through the proper lens. Look at me for my true identity, and you will see that nothing stands between you and I, and nothing ever could. I destroyed it all already. Don't let them convince you otherwise. I love you and I'm for you. Thank you, Janet. I'd like to pray for them. Father, thank you for being you. Thank you for getting us through every day, no matter what the challenges are. Thank you for never giving up on us. Thank you for never leaving us. Thank you for always sending out your love. I see it as this endless supply of overflowing cup. The cup runneth over, it can never stop. It's always been. You loved us inside. The life was the light of men. We were always with you. We'll always be with you. If we won't let anything convince us otherwise, we can be with you now. We can come home inside the garden now. We can reconcile. We can believe the truth. And the truth was, you were never holding anything back from us. You aren't now. Nothing stands between us. Nothing did then in the garden. Excuse me, nothing does now. The lie became very powerful, but God is more powerful than any lie. The truth is more powerful than any lie. Love is more powerful than any separation or hatred or any fallen, broken thing. Love created us to begin with, and love will create us again and heal us again. We cannot run from your love. We cannot reject your love. We have the free will to do that, but Father, I pray each and every person hearing this will listen again to whatever it was you said, because I don't remember. I just remember the premise of you saying over and over and over again, love, receive my love is the point. This whole world is about, can you receive my love and believe it? Believe the truth. Walk in my love. Walk in the truth. That's it. They've come to separate us from your love, but nothing can separate us from your love. But do we believe that truth? So, Father, I pray you'll help us walk in that truth. I pray that today we'll lay down every performance based thing, every little sin that we can possibly be focused on that causes us to think we're separated from God. It has been washed away and covered, it has been dealt with already. Yes, we may have things that we need to walk disciplined in this earth, but that is different than you seeing us as transgressors of you now. Discipline we can do. With God, we can clean up all these things that you're asking us to clean up, but receiving you and your love is a separate issue. Getting to the point where we know I messed up and it's okay because I'm received and I'm loved by Him and He will help me get where I got to get is a totally different circumstance than, oh, my soul, I've let Him down again. That is fear based, sin separating. Unable to receive the love of God. That is what that is, isn't it? Gina showed me that picture. If I can find that sketch, I will put it on there. He said, that's come home. My love has always been eternal. That symbol that Gina saw is eternal love. Come home. Step into eternal love and receive it into yourselves for real. Stop walking in some kind of performance-based thing that somehow if you'll be this, that, and the other, that God will receive and love you. I always did. I always did even before you existed. I loved you inside before I even had a concept of you, and then I conceived you, and I loved you then, and then I put you in the earth, and I still loved you then, and then I want to receive you back to myself in reconciliations in the earth, and I still love you then, and then for all of eternity I will continue to love you. It is the symbol of eternal love. Janet, tell them I love them, and I will never not love them. Even those who will not choose to receive my love, I will love them, even if they're separated from me. So please, the only separation that exists between you and I is not based on sin or performance or anything of the like. It is because you are not receiving my love and acceptance. When you do that, you'll come into rest. When you come into rest, you'll hear me clearly like she does. You'll be a conduit. You'll be cleared out. Oh, sure, they still come at her. They still try to entice her to believe the lies, but she is coming to my face and will not leave my presence. And in that we have victory. I told you if you will not give up on me and you will stay the course and be resolute, we will win. So, children, come home.